Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Davida with Medium of the Light Tarot. This is not going to be anything like I've done before. I saw the footage of the murder of George Floyd, and it kind of cracked open my heart. So I wanted to come on here, and the last two mornings I woke up to, the images of what happened, and I hate that I did continue to watch his passing, and how people just stood by and, were accomplices. So this morning I woke up and was thinking about it again, and I feel like he was standing in my room, and I'll probably get a lot of shit for this, but I came on here because I know this is a hot button for a lot of people, and for me, and if you guys have been watching me, you know that I have a different perspective on life and death than a lot of other people do. My voice is hoarse because I just woke up, and George is really wanting me to do this. So hesitantly, I am doing this. So the format is not going to be the same. I just feel like he really needs to express himself. And for me, I just think it's pretty sad that, us as humans have imbalances like that, where the color of one's skin makes some kind of a judgment, which to me is, I'm a part of the human race, so I understand because I was programmed in a certain way. But to take someone's life, I just, and in this life, I don't get it. So he's coming through, and I want him to be able to speak his mind. And, like I always say, I don't need the cards, but I find them to be useful tools, and he seems to want to use this one. I might be called to use other ones, but we'll see. He says he has a higher power. And he says, I met him when I passed over. He said that there was he said, I was a martyr, so to speak, to open up this wound, which many others have opened, because as I was standing there looking at him this morning before I started filming, not only he, but there was many others behind him. And they're looking at me like, well, are you going to do something? And, this is my little pathetic gesture of trying to do something. Even if I swayed one person's mind, or even if, through his talking weight, swayed one person's mind. He's saying, when is feminine energy going to come into this and get people to open their eyes? He says to enlighten. He said he experienced discrimination his whole life. He's saying, yeah, he talked a little different. And that sometimes he was a little brash. But he said he was a loving man. And he just wanted to have a good life. He said he was trying to get a leg up. And I did hear that in the news that he had moved to try to get a better life. He's saying that he wants us to come to the edge with him. Because I'm hearing him say, this shit has to stop. The murder of people for the color of their skin, and then, people who are supposed to be protecting us, using it against us like that because of their own preferences, their own disgusting thoughts about other humans with different skin. It's simply pathetic. And I'm sorry, that's from me, not him. He said he tried to do things by the book. He said he towed the line. Now he's getting angry. He said, I towed the line. I did what I was supposed to do. I complied. And they took my life from me. And, he's also saying, because this is what I'm telling him, we're having a conversation, that's why I'm silent, is that when he fully passes over and gains a higher perspective, he won't be so angry and hurt. He says, he's like, I'm not worried about me finding peace. I'm worried about the peace for everyone else. He says he's so tired of the quos and conflict that's here. He says, I've come here and now I'm a beacon of light for others to step forward and make a difference. I mean, to have, and this is me talking, to have that mayor come and say, no, they murdered him. And it's on camera. What else do you need? I applaud him. George wants to reiterate that this is a never-ending story. For him, this is a never-ending story. The life, the death, the learning. He's sorry he left, he's left from the people that he had to leave. But he said, it's time to go. He said, unbeknownst to him, it was time to go. I'm hearing him say that this is going to be controversial. But like I said, anybody who's watched my channel, he knows that it was his time to go. Now, not then. And if he would have had a choice, he would have chose differently. But like I said earlier, he said, now I'm a beacon of light for others. He said, I met my maker. And when they meet theirs, he's saying with this to the sea, he's saying something about he loved the water, he liked being near the water, something like that. And he's also saying there's so many tears that are being spilt here over my passing. And he's like, please remember that there's many others behind me in the past that have experienced the same thing. And when is this going to go out to sea and go away? When is this going to happen? He said he has become an active, he's saying, member of those on the other side who are trying to make this difference for spirit, soul. He says, even from the pearly gates, he is going to do his part to try to help those souls that want to perpetrate these kinds of things. And he understands that there is a divine plan. And he says, I haven't gotten to see what the full divine plan is, because he says he understands that there's victims and then there's perpetrators, and everyone has a role to play. So that's why he's not really focusing on like his particular story. It's about the message. He's saying the message of him and those who went before him in this manner of abuse. And I don't even know the words for it. He says he's now the observer. He says he wants to thank the person who recorded his murder, so there could be no doubt of what was done. And he says, heck, who knows? It might not even get these people prison time. He says, but trust me when I say that I'm going to do everything on my side. He says, time permitting, to work on this. Because I feel like he was a man of God, someone who might not have went to church every week, but I think in his heart he was very spiritual and very religious. And he's like touching his heart, and he's saying how much he loves his girl. He says he sees the pain and the grief, and that it's opened up, and what I heard is bored a large hole in her heart. And he is so sorry for the pain. He said, you didn't deserve this. You just loved. He said that you were his treasure. He said he like moved to Treasure Island to be with his treasure, and that was her. And he said that you were a loyal heart. He said he was blessed to have you in his life. He said even on the other side, he's still doing his growth, because this is the chop wood. What is that? I think it's a Buddhist saying. After enlightenment, you still have to chop wood and carry water. He just wants to remind all of you that he's doing his part on his side, but he's got so much help. And he wants you guys to know that he's going the distance. And he appreciates that you've gone the distance. He said, as we move forward, we will get rid of hate. We will get rid of this mindlessness, the soullessness with which someone can murder like that. He He says, you know, obviously for him, this created a fork in the road. And he's kind of still standing at that fork because of how the energy of everyone is pulling him back. Is not only his loved ones, but also, you know, a lot of other souls are thinking about him. And so he's very much aware of what's happening here. And he's touching his heart again. And he's just like, he's like, when you guys get on the other side, you're going to realize how much love there is. And all of this stuff down here that you guys are experiencing is just a bunch of bullshit. You know, and if in our body at the time we're here, if we could see what he could see. He said it would just be downright, you know, that we would be downright ashamed how easy it would all be. Excuse me. It says, as a soul, I can be in several places at once. And when I was trying to shuffle that, obviously you saw that it popped out. He's telling me this, excuse me, that this is a multifaceted message. It says, we have been together in dreams. And he's talking in a larger sense that we all have been. This is a dream. Sorry, I got to take some water. And then plan on like rolling out of bed, having a session. So I apologize. And he's also saying, you know, this is for his loved ones, that he is visiting them in their dreams. And he's really drawing my attention to the sun here, to enlighten them, enlighten their heart, ease their heart. And he's reminding his family and his loved ones and us in a larger sense, we will be together again. You know, where there is no skin, where there is no prejudice, where there is no inequity, where there is no power struggle. He says, where there is no lack. This one came out. It says, there is no such thing as death. And he's right. There is no such thing as death. I mean, there's the physical death, but energy carries on. And he's sending, along with the other people behind him that have experienced this similar situation, they're sending healing love to us, to everyone who has an open enough heart to receive it. He's thanking me for doing this. He says he needed to do this. And the people behind him, they're not saying anything. Kind of like they're letting him have his time. So this deck is a card about, it's kind of like a shadow card. It says lover, and it was in reverse. So this is about, you know, seeing the light attribute about something and the shadow attribute about something. And since it came out in reverse, I'm going to read the shadow. It says, observer passion that harms others. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I should be able to read before I wake up. Okay, it says obsessive passion that harms others, self-destructive devotion. Obsessive passion that harms others. Self-destructive devotion. And now as I'm reading it again, and the other people behind him are kind of stepping forward a little bit, a couple of steps, and they're trying to, and they're showing me the riots, the fires that are occurring. He says he doesn't want, here, hold on. Yeah, there's other ones just continuing to step forward to try to iterate or reiterate what he's going to say. He says, we appreciate the passion that you're coming forth with. He says this is a short-term solution to a long-term problem. And he says that it does help those who are grieving and angry to express themselves. And he's like, I don't want you guys to go to their level. And he's saying, I understand. How else are we supposed to express ourselves when this mechanism of society is oppressing us? He's saying something about Martin Luther King Jr. He's saying, be the lover he was. And he's like, I know I'm not going to sway some people in what I'm saying. He's like, I'm not a fucking idiot. He's like, he just he wants some people to stand down. That's what I heard him say. I think maybe someone might try something a little more drastic. And him being a religious person or a believer in, God and Jesus, he says that that's not what God would want. And this is the message to, like I said, some people who are thinking about doing more drastic things. He says, like for like is not going to help. What does that say? Eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. He said that is not the way to be a lover. And he's like, everybody has their own path that they need to follow, and he understands that. He's like, as I have had to do. He's saying, I'm just cautioning some of you to please rethink your actions before you do it. Because when the obsessive passion subsides, so don't go into harming others. It says obsessive passion that harms others, self-destructive devotion. So don't get so caught up in the moment that you hurt others. Excuse me. Like I said, I'm still waking up. I just pulled this other one. Well, I didn't really, I just opened up the deck. It says beggar, and it did come up right. It says confronts empowerment at the level of physical survival, awakens the spiritual authority of humility, compassion, and self-esteem. So this is the light attribute. Confronts empowerment at the level of physical survival, awakens the spiritual authority of humility, compassion, and self-esteem. He doesn't really want me to go into it because since I said I'm still kind of asleep, I'm He said, the message that there is for some of you. He said he feels complete on on this message. I can feel there. It's kind of like he's feeling some confusion and his heart's broken, and how I see his heart's broken is his energy is kind of opened up there's still some healing for him to do, obviously, and for all of us. And he's touching his chest. He said, he says, I feel blessed that you guys are trying to make a difference there, and I'm blessed for having known everyone in my life that I have my family, my friends. And he said he was so excited about his new beginning. He just didn't realize that right now it's a different new beginning than he thought he was going to have. All right, you guys. The people behind him are kind of saluting in their own way, like putting their hand up in gestures, and they're not saying, there's no words coming out, but they're saying that I can feel the energy of this is also to all of their family, to their loved ones, to their friends, to their soul family, which is all of us here on earth, that they appreciate and love everyone. And then when we here in the physical get on the other side, we'll understand much more than we do now. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope this brings a little bit of healing. I'm really hesitant to put this up because, like, if you look at my channel, this is not something that I ever do. So, all right, thanks for joining me. And remember, be a lover, not a hater. And that came from me. All right, you guys, love you, bye.